So I thought I would do a few backpacking gear videos and kind of talk about how I find the gear that I purchase and use and what I'm looking for, where I'm looking for it. Sorry for the background noise. The dogs are playing with their nylabones. I hesitated to do this for a very long time because I'm not a gearhead. I've used the same gear for decades, maybe not that long. I've definitely used the same gear for at least 6 or 7 years. There are a couple of pieces that I change up, some that's not terribly expensive, and a couple of more expensive items that I did change up. I guess my recommendation would be, don't go into this thinking that you have to buy the most expensive piece of gear in each category. The big three is your pack, your tent, your pack, and your sleeping bag, or whatever you want to use, quilt, whatever. This is, by the way, a website called lighterpack.com. But basically what these websites do is they allow you to list out all of your pack items and see the weight. I have a little kitchen scale. Now that I'm asthmatic, I count like all of the weight that I carry. But anyway, I've got this little kitchen scale. I put everything on it, and those are the weights you see here, is the actual weights on my kitchen scale. So what I wanted to talk about today, I'm going to start with tents. And I'm going to start with a disclaimer by saying that I don't have a lot to compare to because I have used Big Agnes tents for years. I will also say that I am not willing to spend an outrageous amount on a backpacking tent because I have 2 dogs, and it's just far too easy for accident to happen, for a pod to go through the mesh screen. It's not worth spending $600+ on a backpacking tent when I've got 2 dogs with me that are living out of it with me. What I'm going for is sub 3 pounds in a tent. And as it is, it's getting really hard to find such a tent for under $400. $400 is a lot of money. And I don't particularly want to spend $400. So I'll tell you what I do. I use eBay. I've used it for many years, and in fact, a lot of my backpacking gear has been purchased used off of eBay. So I am just going to show you a little bit about how I would search, what I would do, how I determine if a seller is trustworthy. I mean, you can never know 100%, but I have some rules that I follow that generally work pretty well. I'll give you an example. So the tent that I am currently using, you actually can't find new listed anywhere because it was before Big Agnes started using this solution dye material, which solution dye is basically more environmentally friendly, and it takes 50% less water consumption, 80% less energy consumption, and something else that I can't remember, but basically it's far more environmentally friendly. So pretty much all of their new tents that are coming out are solution dyed fabrics. And what I'm finding is that, or perhaps something pandemic related, I'm not sure, but the prices have gone up. But here's what I have done in the past. So let's say the dogs tore a big hole in my tiger wall and I need a new tent. I'm going to just type in here the Tiger Wall UL2 because that's what I'm using right now. And I'm going to show you what comes up and give you a little bit of feedback about like how I would search, what I think of the search results and all of that. And sorry, the internet is slow here because I use my cell phone hotspot for internet. I don't actually have an separate internet here. So, all right. So I'm looking at this. This is the new tent, the new solution dye tent, which is not what I currently have, but that's a good price. What I see right away, though, is that that's the first bid, and there's basically 4 days left on this auction. So it's not going to stay at $300. I might watch it and see where it goes. But I can guarantee you that that's going to go up higher, probably pretty close to 400. So you may as well buy it brand new on a third-party website. Okay, so then there's the Tiger Wall bike pack, which is more expensive, and there's not really any need for that for backpacking. It's designed to be connected to a bike. So then we have these Mountain Glow tents, and one of my tents actually is a Mountain Glow. What that is they actually sew lights into the seams of the tent. And then they give you this little switch, so at night when you're laying in the tent, you can switch the lights on, and the lights are actually in the frame of the tent. And it's really super cool. It adds weight. So, you know, you can just use your headlamp. You don't need lights in the tent. It makes the price go up, and it makes the weight go up. So in my mind, not necessary. The tent that I have is a Fly Creek UL2 Mountain Glow. The only reason I bought it is because it was actually, I found it somewhere on sale, third party, for cheaper than the non-Mountain Glow version. And that's why I have it. So I pretty much think financially when I'm making these decisions. So yeah, the extra weight, the extra lights, you can actually take the lights out if you don't want the weight. But I'm always going to go for the lowest price first. So if there's a tent that I'm not super hip on, but it's cheaper than the one I am wanting, then I'll probably go with the cheaper tent. However, not going to spend that on it. So moving along, wouldn't spend that. Don't need a footprint. You can buy a footprint. A lot of people buy a sheet of Tyvek and use that. Or, I mean, you can use a tarp. I've used a tarp before. But I've also just not had a footprint at all, and it's been fine. I haven't had any issues with not having a footprint. Now, here we go. This interests me because we've got a Big Agnes Fly Creek UL2, just the regular version, not the Mountain Glow with the lights in it. And we've got a starting bid of $164 with 6 days left. There's no way it'll stay at that. But if you come down here and look, we've got to buy it now for $241 plus $10 shipping. $251 pre-owned. Whereas if you go over here and look at the new one, well, okay, so this is a solution dye because that's what they use now. They don't have the old ones. But a Fly Creek HVUL2, which is the newest version of that, we've got $369.95. So $251 compared to $369.95. So I would watch that, and I'd also click on it and let's see. Now I'm not super happy that there's not any photos of the actual material up close out of the bag, but this would be a situation where the seller has 95 positive feedbacks. They're all 100% positive feedback. So no negative feedback and 95 positives, which is really good. There's a distance shot of it, which looks okay, but that tells me nothing, honestly. I would like to see up close shots of this before I spend $250 on it. It looks like an average used tent. You can see some dirt on the bag, but there aren't any tears, which is a good sign. Usually the bag is the first place to have a tear and get beaten all the crap. But let's just come down here and see if he says he or she used it 3 times. The tent is in excellent shape. It has a small tear in the stuff sack. Comes with a footprint. So it sounds pretty good to me. What I would do then is I would come up with a question to ask, and I would hit contact seller, and I would ask the question. And if the seller responds quickly, and if he is clear and courteous, then I'm probably gonna pursue this, because buy it now at $251, honestly, that's an amazing deal for a lightweight backpacking tent. Fly Creek HVUL, yeah, I will make the comment. This is not the HV, and the HV version is basically just a lighter weight version. You can go to Big Agnes's website and see how they categorize. They have crazy light, ultralight, super light, And then they have backpacking, bike packing, and car camping, which I wouldn't even look at. So super light, ultra light, and crazy light are the ones that I'm going to be looking at. So let me explain this to you also. A lot of tents will have a trail weight and a packed weight. What that means is the trail weight is the weight of all parts necessary for the tent to function. Packed weight is the weight with everything that's included in the purchase. Honestly, I'm not sure what that would leave out. Probably, I mean, none of these tents come with a footprint when you buy them new like this. So we're excluding the footprint of both of those probably. I would say it's probably just without the stuff sack maybe, without extra stakes. Probably comes with a lot of guy line that you don't need. But anyway, crazy light is going to be a pound, right around the 1 pound range. Ultra light is going to be more around the, I'm going to say a little over the 2 pound range because my setup right now is a little over 2 pounds. Super light is probably 3 pounds, 3 or 4 pounds. Let's just see out of curiosity. I've never heard of any of these tents. You can see that I never look in this particular category. But let's say the Blacktail 2. I don't know what that is. It's $199.95, which right away tells me that it's not super lightweight. Yeah, trail weight of 4 pounds 8 ounces, which if you can carry that weight and get away with spending $200 on a backpacking tent, more power to you. But you know, everybody's going to be different. You've got to kind of learn and figure out over time what your weight limit is. So like I said, don't let what other people buy deter you from getting one of these cheaper, heavier tents. Any Big Agnes tent you buy is probably going to be really good. I have had nothing but high quality tents from Big Agnes. That's why I pretty much stick with them. If I was rich, I would look at the Zpacks tents. However, I have had a couple of friends spend the money and not be happy with it. And I'll just show you right now. See, they've just come out with a new one, but I'm going to show you the one that everybody I know who has the money to do it usually gets, and that's this one, Duplex tent. So you're looking at a 19-ounce tent, and it uses trekking poles as the pole system. You don't have to carry separate poles, and it's a single wall tent. So I'm just going to stop here and insert this little voiceover to explain a little bit more about single wall versus double wall. Most of what you see in the backpacking community is double wall, which is your basic tent and rainfly setup. The tent is usually some kind of ripstop solid color on the bottom half for privacy, and then mostly mesh towards the top for ventilation. And then your rain fly is the waterproof part. A single wall tent is more for mountaineering, for arid environments, where you don't have to worry about condensation quite as much. But there are some single wall tents that have been making their way into backpacking for a few years now, and one of them is Zpacks. Another one is Gossamer Gear. You can Google those and find out more about them, but it is a single piece of fabric. These are the really high range, high price tents. Single wall tents weigh a little bit less. They're quicker and easier to set up, especially if you're in the middle of a storm and you need to get set up very quickly. But they can often result in a little bit more condensation inside the tent because they aren't as breathable. Double walls will often give you more storage space just because you have the vestibules that you can store your backpack, or if you're brave and store your boots outside of the tent. I can't do that because I'm afraid creepy crawlies will crawl inside them overnight. But, you know, it does allow some outside storage space in that vestibule space. So it also definitely results in a lot less condensation because it's just more breathable. But it takes longer to set up. So just keep that in mind when you are racing a storm across the ridge of a mountain. Takes a little bit more time to set up a double wall tent. Although after practice, you can get one set up pretty quickly. In short, single walls, way less, quicker and easier to set up. but more condensation, not as breathable. Double walls work well in a lot of rainy and humid environments where condensation is going to be a real issue. Take a little bit longer to set up, a little bit more storage because you've got the rain fly that adds vestibule space. Hope that helps. I think a lot of people have a harder time with condensation and stuff like that, but I think also that those problems arise from not putting it up properly, as they call it, a proper pitch. It does take a little bit of practice to get that right with these tents. Maybe someday, if I'm sitting comfortably and I don't have to worry so much about my budget, maybe I would give it a serious look, because 19 ounces sounds really appealing to me. But what am I sitting at right now? Just a little over 2 pounds. So, that's not bad. That's not bad. And it's half the price. Okay, well, now they're $400, so it's not quite half the price. If you've got the money right now, then I would say get on here, do a search, save the search, look at it every day, scroll through it every day, and that's how you find the deals. If you're not hip on getting used, if you're not comfortable using eBay, I'm going to tell you a couple of sites that I look at frequently for sales. One is REI. I do have an REI membership. I hardly ever buy anything from REI at full price, so my membership doesn't really benefit me a whole lot. But REI sometimes has some good sales. And if weight is not an issue for you, REI has their own tents, and the Half Dome is one of the better tents. I know a lot of people who have the Half Dome. Another website that I check often is moosejaw.com. I'll put the links to these in the description. With Moosejaw, you earn cashback rewards on every purchase, and they just build up so that you can use it for a discount on a future purchase. They've got coupon codes, and they'll offer, if you get on their email list, they'll send you when they've got a new deal coming up. And then backcountry.com is one. And again, if you sign up for their email list, you can get 15% off. Use the coupon codes. That's the key. You sign up for their email list, get their sales notifications, and or do regular searches for the tent that you want until you see it at the price that you want. Another one is In Wild, which used to be Backcountry Edge. This is a good one. They changed their name a couple years ago, I think. I don't know how long it's been now, but they, again, will do a lot of 20% off full price items stuff. But here we are on Big Agnes's website, and I'm going to show you the difference between the Fly Creek and the Tiger Wall, which are the two tents that I currently have. And I pack my Tiger Wall, and I'm going to show you why. Fly Creek. I think mine is the HV version. I can't remember. Okay, so here's the difference. On the Fly Creek, the door is at the narrow end of the tent. On the Tiger Wall, the doors, plural, you have two on this one, whereas the Fly Creek only has one. The Tiger Wall has a door on each of the wider, more open ends of the tent. So for me, if I was without two dogs, the Fly Creek is a little better, and I actually used this when I only had one dog. It was all right. But this, having the doors, two doors on the wide side, the wide ends of the tent, is so much easier for me with two dogs. This Fly Creek, it's a little tricky to get in and out of, just because the door is at the narrow end. So that's one reason why I don't care much for it now. To be honest with you, my only complaint about Big Agnes tents is that in any case, no matter which tent you get, I have always had a hard time rolling the doors up out of the way. Inevitably, especially like if it's really wet, sometimes I will actually just flop the door on the other material so that it'll just stick. But to try to roll it back when it's really wet, it's heavier, and the little toggle, which is a little too low for the balance point probably would be right about here, and it's just, that's not feasible to put a toggle right there, obviously. But because the toggle is so low, when it's wet and all that water adds more weight to it, this toggle won't hold it back. It inevitably comes unrolled, unfastened, and then comes out and hits you and gets you wet. So that's my only complaint. I've had that experience with every tent. But again, I say if it's really wet, I'll just flop this panel back and let it stick to that fabric instead of trying to toggle it, keep it back with the toggle. Same with this. But to give you some other ideas for other brands of tents, let's just run back to REI here because REI carries quite a bit, including their own. REI has the half dome, and for a 2-person tent, you're looking at a weight, minimum trail weight of 3 pounds, 15 ounces. Packed weight with all the guy lines, all the stakes, the stuff sack that comes with it, all that is 4 pounds, 11.5 ounces. I have a little bit of trouble with that. I'd probably take it all out and try to get it down as close to that or less as I could get it, but that's not bad. So let me show you another one. Nemo is one that a lot of people use. And let's just look at the Hornet Elite 2. There's also the Aurora 2-person. You can see the price difference here. So that tells me right off the bat that this one is going to be lighter weight. So let's take a look. You've got a $500 tent here, 2-person. Yep. Minimum trail weight, 1 pound, 11 ounces. Now, I got to tell you, I have never used a Nemo tent, but this makes me interested. It makes me interested to see if I could find a used version for not $500. But, you know, we looked at the Zpacks tents a minute ago, and the Zpacks tents were 19 ounces. I mean, you're getting pretty close to up to the $600 tent there. Now, granted, it's a different fabric and often argued to be a better fabric and all of that, but this tent is perfectly fine at a cheaper price than the Zpacks. It's the higher end price range of these types of semi-freestanding tents, but you know, that weight, that's the driving factor of cost, is the weight and the type of fabric that it's made out of, which affects the weight. So you could look at this, the Nemo. I have never slept in it. It's kind of interesting. It looks like they have a door on the wide end, but it's still a very narrow door, which kind of doesn't make sense to me, but I'm sure there's a reason. And the fly looks pretty good. This looks very similar to the Big Agnes Fly Creek, with the exception of the door being different. Yeah, but I mean, the way you set it up and everything is just like the Big Agnes Fly Creek. It looks to me like it's semi-freestanding, which means it's not quite completely freestanding. This looks different. They've got this little device to keep the top of the tent spread out a bit. Yeah, but this, I mean, that's an interesting option. I'd have to look more into it, but there you go. And then the Aurora 2-person, let's take a look at it. $279, I'm going to guess a 4 pound weight. Let's see. Yep. 4 pounds, 9 ounces. So this would not be something I would look at, but it's an option for those who don't mind the weight. Big, wide door. It is fully freestanding, it appears to be. It includes the footprint, which most don't. Whoops. Yeah, so when you're in this price range, actually anywhere from the $200 to $400 price range, you're looking at semi to fully freestanding tents, and they're all probably going to be pretty close to the same. The differences are going to be the types of materials used and how it's constructed to eliminate a lot of the weight. So the other option would be MSR. I can't off the top of my head remember the names of it. Hubba Bubba or something. Yeah, here we go. The Hubba Bubba 2 tent, $314.93 on sale. So that's worth looking at. The sale price is worth looking at. But if I remember correctly, this is, I also think, a 3 pound, yeah, 3 pounds 8 ounces. That's not bad. You could look at that if weight doesn't bother you. And it's a freestanding tent, so it's going to be very similar to the others that we've been looking at. As far as construction and types of materials used, there's just going to be slight differences. I hope that helps a little bit. I know this isn't the most exciting YouTube video, but just wanted to give you kind of a peek into what I think about when I'm shopping. And yes, I absolutely buy used gear. eBay is my friend. You just kind of have to be careful, communicate with the sellers, and try to gauge, you know, if it's a trustworthy transaction. There are ways to do it, and to do it safely without feeling like you're going to get scammed or whatever. So yeah, I'll say a 2-person tent for me and 2 dogs is fine. I don't know about 2 people though. I think if there were 2 people, I'd probably want to bump up to a 3-person tent. I do often keep my backpack inside the tent with me. I've never shared a backpacking tent with another person, so I honestly am not the right person to ask about whether or not it fits 2 people comfortably. I can just tell you that 1 person and 2 dogs fits very comfortably, but I cuddle with my dogs. So I guess if you cuddle with your person, a 2-person tent might work fine. I think that's definitely personal preference and whatever works best for you. But anyway, hopefully this helped, and I am going to set up my 2 Big Agnes tents and let you take a closer look inside those tents. If you guys have questions, pop them in the comments section and I'll try to answer those. And also, as I get started on these gear videos, if you have recommendations for future videos that you'd like me to do, please leave those in the comments as well. And I want to try to do some videos that are helpful to you all, so please help me out and let me know what you want to know, and how I can help, and I'll do my best. So all right, more coming soon. Thanks, catch you later.